Hollow Knight Silksong, one of the most anticipated games of 2025, is out now. Well, I mean, it's been out for about a week now. So I want to make a review of everything that I've played, and I've beaten the game with 100% completion, so I've seen most of everything that there is to offer. So I want to talk about what I've played and what I think about it. The fact that Hollow Knight Silksong was so anticipated that it literally broke all the major storefronts, including Steam and Xbox and even Nintendo, is absolutely crazy. I haven't really seen a game break the stores as much as this has. At least not personally. There may have been some other games that have done that, but this is the first time I've ever actually seen it myself. I got really lucky and I was able to buy it pretty quickly, but I know some people that struggled to buy the game for hours. That's how many people were just trying to play it as soon as it came out. That out the bat should tell you what you need to know. Before I actually talk about Hollow Knight, I want to talk about some of the stuff that I've done before I played this game, because I haven't been waiting as long as other people. I haven't been waiting for 6 years to play this game, unlike a lot of people. See, I got into it from another Metroidvania, Blasphemous 1 and 2. I played those games as my introduction to a Metroidvania because they're very similar to Dark Souls in terms of its style and design. There's a lot of elements to it that kind of match what Dark Souls has. That was my gateway to Metroidvanias. And after I beat those, I was like, okay, Metroidvanias are kind of cool actually. Let me try out Hollow Knight. I had the game for a while. I tried it out a while ago and I wasn't really feeling it at the time, but I gave it another try and I must say, I loved the game. I loved Hollow Knight when I played it. The fact that so many people loved the game was another reason I wanted to really just give it a proper try. I mean, I don't regret it, honestly. It was one of the best games I played in a long time. So the fact that there was a sequel coming was just like, wow, okay, I gotta play Hollow Knight now. And the first thing I want to say is that playing Hollow Knight Silksong blind with no guides, no nothing, was really refreshing as well. That was really fun. Obviously for Hollow Knight, I did do the same thing. I did play it relatively blind, but now and again I'd look up some locations for where the mash shard was, because I was missing one or two. But in Silksong, because it was literally fresh, you couldn't do that if you wanted to. And it was really cool to actually sit down and actually try and figure it out myself, because it just made me appreciate a lot of the design of the areas a lot more. It felt like you were actually discovering things that no one else has found yet, you know what I mean? It's just really, really cool. I like doing that with a new game. Now, what I want to talk about with Silksong is just how different it is, because whilst I do think that you should play the first game before you play the second game is still quite different to Hollow Knight. The main thing is the combat is quite different. You can kind of tell immediately as you go in that Hornet is a lot more capable than the Knight is. The fact that she can move a lot faster, and the fact that she has different attack patterns based on what crest you have. Just the crest system as a whole is a lot more involved with the player compared to just walking forwards. In Silksong, it's a lot more developed. It's a lot more thought out. You can even go your own way with it. You can kind of choose what you prefer. If you like the faster movement of the first crest you start with, even though it has a diagonal pogo, you can do that if you want. Or if you like the way it was in the first game with the downward one, you can also do that. I personally use the Reaper crest just because I like the move whenever you run. You do an uppercut attack. Just the fact that the Hornet can actually do a lot more feels more involved. It feels a lot more like you have control over how you want to play. The thing as well that I like about Hollow Knight Silksong is the fact that Hornet can actually heal for 3 masks instead of just 1. It feels like you can actually do more in fights without worrying about having to heal as soon as you take a single hit. It actually hurts you to take 1 mask of damage and heal right away because you're not getting the most out of that heal. Now for the tool stuff, the tools are really well thought out. There's so many different tools in the game. There's a lot that have different functionalities. There's so many good tools, and I think there are a lot of really well balanced ones. So I think the tools are just really fun. They just completely change the way that you play. The actual movement abilities, kind of like how in Hollow Knight you had the Crystal Heart, double jump, all that stuff, the dash. Silksong has it a little different. It does have some of the same ones, the double jump's obviously still there, it doesn't have the Crystal Heart and it doesn't have the other stuff, but what it does have is things like the Swift Step and the Claw Line, which I actually enjoyed a lot more because it just feels so addicting to use. The Claw Line, zip across the screen and you can run and jump, you can dash in the air afterwards. It just feels a lot more fluid and it feels a lot more addicting to just run around, honestly. The exploration in Silksong is really dense. I love just going into areas and seeing just how much there is to find. There's so much loot just sitting around. There's so many like enemies that have different attacks and different designs and all this stuff that tie to the area itself. It just feels like you're actually in an area that's alive. The quest system in Hollow Knight Silksong is also a lot better in this game than it was in Hollow Knight, because in Hollow Knight it wasn't trackable. You would have to maybe look them up, although it's not too hard to follow. But in Silksong, they're actually in the game itself. Like, you can check exactly what step you're on, you can check what you have to do, where it is, what rewards it can give you. And I just think this quest system is a lot more thought out, and I love the fact that they actually have some effect on your game as well. Some of them actually change the story, which I'll get into in a little bit later on. What I want to talk about now is the boss fights. There's so many bosses in this game. I think there's a total of around 45 bosses, and most of them are insane. In the first game, I don't know exactly how many there are, but you can tell that there's some bosses that are pretty easy. You know, there's a lot of them that aren't too bad. Some of them are cool, some of them are okay, some of them are pretty hard, and some of them are really good as well. Like, there's a lot of phenomenal bosses in Hollow Knight as well. In Silksong, there's a lot of phenomenal fights, and a lot of them are hard. I won't lie, this game is definitely a step up in difficulty compared to Hollow Knight. I mean, the lineup of bosses in the first act, it starts off kind of slow, but then you get into fights like Mirwing, which gives people a lot of trouble. It gave me a little bit of trouble as well. I took a fair few more tries than I'd like, despite the fact that I didn't think it was that bad. The actual attempt kind of says otherwise. Like other bosses like the Last Judge, which kind of stops you in your tracks when you're trying to progress to the next act. I mean, that fight is so blasphemous. It's a very, very fun fight, even though the run back might be a little bit not my favorite, but it's okay. The Widow is like really good for like actually testing you to see if you're ready for the next act. So much chaos with the petals just falling down, the amount of things going on your screen all at once. It's hard to keep track of everything, but it does require your full attention to be able to take that boss down. And he even has a Jabia second phase, which is even more intense. The Phantom is really good as well. It feels very cinematic. It feels like a very grand fight. Having the orchestrion as an actual like part of his fight, like the environment actually being involved, feels really cool. I love whenever boss fights incorporate their design into the fight itself. I love when bosses do that. The Lace fight, which you do in the first act, is also really, really good because it kind of pulls what Sekiro does, where the first boss that you fight will come back in the future and test how much you've learned. And I think the Lace fight does an insanely good job of that, because when you come back to fight her, she does have a lot more deadlier attacks and combos that can catch you off guard. Other bosses in the second act are also like insanely good in terms of their design. I love the Cogwork Dancers fight. The fact that it actually tells kind of a story whenever you get through the fight, the fact that it's just incorporating its actual character design into its attacks, with the fact that it shows you exactly where it's going to move, kind of like how a Cogwork Dancer would do, you know what I mean? Like, it's really, really cool. I love that fight. It might be my autism, but that fight's really cool. The first Sinner fight, which is kind of hidden, it's a really challenging fight. It's actually, it took me longer than I'd admit, but it was a really fun fight to tackle. I loved really learning the moveset, figuring out where to punish, because there's a lot going on in that fight. It was just really fun to tackle that boss as well. And then the final boss of Act 2, whilst it wasn't like super difficult or anything like that, it still felt like a very grand fight. It felt like it was really well thought out. And I thought that doing the challenge run of it with the curse was also really fun. I didn't think it would take too long, but it did definitely present some challenge to it, without being able to heal or anything like that. But the fact as well that they actually used that boss as a way to progress to the third act, which a lot of people may not even know about, to be honest. You have to do a lot of the side quests and do all the stuff to set up this other quest that you do that changes what you do to the boss, which then introduces you to Act 3, which I think is really cool. You think you're done, but actually, no, you're not done. There's still another trap there that you've just completely missed, another act that you just didn't even know existed. I think that's really cool. I haven't seen a lot of games use the final boss as that kind of key piece, you know what I mean? Some other bosses that I really like, the Scarslinger fight is like, I think it probably is my favorite, to be honest. I love that fight. Just the soundtrack is just insanely good. I love the soundtrack to that fight, and the fact that it actually feels like an actual dance between you and the boss. It speaks for itself. I think that fight's phenomenal. The Trobio fight, both really fun. They're not too difficult or anything like that, but they're very wacky. They have such an expressive theme behind it. The difficulty in the second one is a little more my speed, but I think it's just a great theme. It feels very theatrical, it feels very fun. The theme, the fight itself, it just all feels so well thought out. And that's the same with most of the bosses in the game. There's just so many of them. The fact that I can go on and on about the boss fights in this game, I mean, I think that tells you all you need to know. I'll talk about one more. I'll talk about the final boss, because the final boss of the third act is a little different than the one before in the second act. The Leas comes back again to truly test you this time. One final test, and I think it is phenomenal. The fact that it uses the Abyss as a part of its attacks to make them even deadlier and more punishing is really, really cool. I like the fact that you have to go through the Abyss just to even find this boss. You gotta overcome a lot of challenges to even get to that point. And the fact that it incorporates its environment into the actual combat, I love that. I've made that point already. And I think the ending itself is very interesting as well. I'm not going to spoil the ending itself just in case, but just play it, you know what I mean? Just go fight that boss and come back to me and you'll know what I mean. The only thing that I want to talk about with Silksong that I kind of think falls like a little bit short is the charm system. The charm system in the first game used this notch system, and each charm had a certain cost. You gotta evaluate, okay, well, I don't have room for this extra one here, so I'm gonna have to go without it. The way it works in Silksong is kind of different. Basically, the way that it works is that your crest, which is what you actually use to fight with, like it has your moveset, it has all of your tools, and this crest has different categories. The blue category, the yellow category, and then there's the red category charms. The red ones are basically just your tools. They're the ones that you actually use in combat. As for the actual charms though, it feels kind of imbalanced. There's a lot of very good blue charms, but the yellow charms feel like they're not really that crazy. There aren't as many of them as well, but that's not really too big of a deal. It's just that I don't think they're as noticeable in gameplay compared to some of the blue ones. Some people might say as well that the runbacks are a big problem in Silksong. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's this really, really rough runback in the Bilewater area. There's a boss fight at the very end of the area, but to get there, you have to go through absolute hell. I mean, there's enemies that explode and come back after a while. The water is infested with maggots and it'll make your heal get wasted. You'll waste your heal on the next time you use it, and it also drains your silk. Some of the other enemies are also really annoying as well, to be fair. There's these like bush guys that come out of the water every now and again and they hit you with this insanely accurate darts that just I swear they have aimbot or something, because they always hit me and explode afterwards. Of course they explode. And when you try to go and hit them, they just go back in the water and hide. Like, come on, bro, what are we doing? It's a mean area, I'm not gonna lie. Bilewater's pretty mean. I don't necessarily hate this area. Like, I don't hate the runback like other people do. I mean, it's not the most fun thing ever, but I don't actively hate it. I think Team Cherry's just kind of messing with you, and I kind of find that a little funny. I mean, it literally has a bench at the very end of it that whenever you sit on it, it literally just explodes and then you fall into maggot infested water. I mean, they're literally trolling you at this point, but I find it funny. I didn't mind it too much. Overall, I think Silksong has actually like truly exceeded my expectations. I was not expecting it to be this good. The fact that people waited 6 years for it makes a little sense with what we got. I mean, there's so much meat to this game and it feels like it keeps on giving, because even though I've done my 100%, there's still more stuff for me. I mean, obviously, Steel Soul and speedrun stuff aside, I still gotta fight some bosses that I didn't even know were in the game. I didn't know they were there. And I've done everything. Like, this game does not stop giving. I've got about 60 hours in it now, and there's still like, there's so many more things that I can do in this game. So the fact that it only costs, I think it's $20, that's like insane. The fact that there's so much meat to this game for such a low price, even if it's not for you, you can still try it out, because I mean, it's pretty cheap. And if it is for you, then you've just got your new favorite game. So like, I think it's a win-win here. I don't think there's any discussion. I think absolutely you should try this game out. There is just so much to enjoy with this game. There's so much content. There's so much fun to be had. This game is absolutely a masterpiece, and I recommend playing it 100%. If you want to see some reviews of other stuff that I've done, let me know what kind of games you would like me to review. And yeah, thanks for watching.